It's a Tuesday. It's the 19th day of November, 2024. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Converse County Tourism. Douglas and Glen Rock, Wyoming are bustling with action this holiday season. Plan your excursion, including fun activities, beautiful downtowns, and historic treasures. Learn more at conversecountytourism.com. Well, I picked the word raw to describe the weather in many areas of the West and the plains today. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. We're going to have cold wind chills. We're going to have a bit of a weather system out across the northern plains, bringing in Canadian air, strong winds, and off to our north and east, some periods of snow with mountain snow showers and flurries across the Rockies. A few flurries might make it on into the plains. It's just going to be raw today. Now, we're going to see the storm over the northern plains sort of slide east-southeast rather quickly into the Great Lakes region, then eventually into the northeastern United States later this week. This will allow a brief episode of high pressure over the Intermountain West from tomorrow, probably all the way up through Friday. We'll see some snow in the far western parts of Wyoming, parts of the Pacific Northwest, eastern Idaho, western Montana by late Thursday and Friday, but most areas Wednesday through Friday, we'll see moderating temperatures and generally fair weather. But then some bigger changes out in the Pacific and across really all of North America will start to evolve this weekend. We're going to see a very strong, moist jet stream wind plow its way into the West Coast. We're going to see pretty good rain for many areas of California, getting even into central and southern areas of California. This is a real change. This is a signal. This is a pattern change. We haven't seen this fall. We haven't seen a strong push of moisture into the West Coast like this. This is basically a signal of further changes going down the road. So the fall pattern's going away. A winter pattern is beginning to emerge as we go through the last half of November and into December. A few beautiful cloud photos to show you yesterday there across western Nebraska, and beautiful sunrise and sunsets. There's one in Lander. Nice shot there of the clouds and some lights and the Lander Mills building there. And then out in the Lake McConaughey area, you can see we have some wave features on those clouds there as the winds aloft strengthening ahead of this system. And then this is a great photo to highlight low sun angle. I'm a big believer that low sun angle that we get this time of year is a real big factor because it keeps the snow in the shade. It keeps the threat of black ice on roads and highways early in the day and through the late morning hours, because the effective nature of the sun to warm things up gets worse and worse and worse between now and the shortest day of the year. Then it takes a while for that sun angle to come back up again. So Mooney the Mule here highlighting that long shadow and that low sun angle. Going to give you two satellite images this morning. There's the storm forming up over North Dakota, getting itself organized. Showers and thunderstorms out ahead of the system here. Then you can see the formation of the comma coming back around. So it's going to be snowy in parts of North Dakota, far northeastern Montana, Saskatchewan, and parts of Manitoba. And then this is going to translate and reform into a real strong storm in the Great Lakes region. You can see we've got a little piece of energy on the backside of this system that'll produce a little bit of snow in the mountains of Colorado today. And the cold air coming in on the backside of it may produce a few flurries and snow showers over the higher terrain of Montana and Wyoming and into Colorado as the day progresses. But it's just going to be windy, cold, and raw. That's the 500 millibar chart showing the systems coming together there. And this is the radar as of early this morning. So you can see the nice curl there, and you're going to see all this become snow right here as the day progresses, then start to slide to the east and southeast. As we go and take a look at the satellite photo out in the Pacific, this is showing a lot. First of all, notice we've got two swirls, two big lows out here up in the Gulf of Alaska, then off the southwest parts of the Aleutians here. But really what I'm showing you here is the strengthening and very strong winds aloft coming across the Pacific. When you start to see a pattern like this in the cold season, we start talking about terms like, as you'll see in a minute, atmospheric rivers, or the ability for just the sheer power of the stronger jet stream winds getting further south in latitude, able to drive moisture and energy off the Pacific and into the continent. So you can see an enhanced area of moisture right there heading to Northern California and parts of Oregon in the Pacific Northwest. There will be by Thursday. By Thursday, that low consolidates. We got a strong storm in the Great Lakes. So the Great Lakes region will see its first taste of winter. We're going to get snow into maybe Chicago, maybe Detroit. Then this is going to head up into the northeastern United States. They could really use some rain. They're going to get rain and snow and wind while high pressure builds in behind it. But between now and then, it's going to get rather raw. Now this is by Saturday. By Saturday, notice the trough of low pressure is coming down the British Columbia coast, and we have these strong jet stream winds plowing into northern and central California and the Pacific Northwest, driving rain and snow into the region. So let's kind of take a look at what the weather is going to do and as it evolves. This is the precipitation really over the next 5 days. So you can see a lot of moisture in central and northern California, the Pacific Northwest, west of the Cascades, a little east of the Cascades as well. The weather here in the east, but we don't see much in the interior because of that high pressure ridge. But when we take a look at the snow, there's where the snow is going to be, really getting south central Canada pretty hard. This is between now and late Saturday. So you can see the impacts of those strong jet stream winds into the far west. A lot of wind is going to be taking place today. This is where raw comes up to it. This is going to be our wind gust between now and noon tomorrow. Very windy across the Dakotas, eastern Montana, northeastern Wyoming, across Nebraska, the I-80 corridor of Wyoming, northern areas of Colorado. Now, you factor this wind in with the temperatures, and we're going to get some cold wind chills. Look at these winds coming into Northern California, Oregon, and Washington State here. This is some rough sea action going on right here. So this is the real deal happening off the Pacific Northwest coast. These are the temperatures by later this afternoon, by 5 p.m. These are the temperatures, just the air temperatures, so pretty chilly. Then you factor in the wind chill. These are what our wind chills are going to be like later this afternoon. Pretty darn cold. It's going to be raw. As we get into the weekend, high pressure starts to slide to the east. Look at the black lines. You see how they're packed together here. These packed together lines mean strong winds aloft. And the trajectory of the air is over the water the whole time before it hits the coast. Here are the 300 millibar, or the 30,000 foot winds roughly, by Saturday morning. Extremely strong winds going into the central and northern Sierra here. So you're just going to have a pipeline of moisture, hence the atmospheric river. I think probably you're going to hear that term get thrown out at you over the next couple of days. Here's the precipitable water by Saturday morning. We show you this map a lot of times in the summer to show you where the moisture is. So you can see that ribbon. Look at this. This is another name they call these atmospheric rivers, the Pineapple Express. Well, because there's Hawaii. So here is that flow of moisture getting directed and driven right into California. Now, just before that, it's going to be up here, and it's going to be shifting south. But notice there's a plume of this moisture going up into here, and there's going to be cold air sitting up there. So there's going to be an overrunning snow event in Alberta, parts of Saskatchewan, and then into northern Montana and western North Dakota this weekend. The moist Pacific air overrunning the cold air at the surface up there. And this axis of deep moisture is going to go south and translate east by later in the weekend. This is by Sunday morning. This map doesn't look like much. On just a first glance, you're not saying, well, there isn't much going on. But there is a lot going on right here. Strong jet stream winds and a lot of Pacific moisture coming in. Then it's got to go up over the higher terrain of the Rockies. Therefore, you're going to generate precipitation. This is by Sunday morning. So you can see that plume is still there, kind of expands a little bit, and gets further south into the region right here. So during the second half of the weekend, we're going to see a translation of some of that moisture, maybe right along or just east of the divide in some areas. So this is for the 4-day forecast of basically Friday through Saturday into Sunday. So you can see California getting into the mix. You can see the Four Corners region, the Colorado Mountains, and maybe a little push of some light snows out across the plains. Not a lot, but we might get a little bit of it. There's that overrunning precipitation up there. And all of a sudden, we've got a lot going on. This is the 4-day snowfall total for that same time. Look up here in Canada. Now, I'm showing you this in Canada for our Canada viewers, but I'm also showing this to you because if we get a lot of this snow cover building up late November into early December, that snow isn't going to go away. That's going to really be a harbinger for colder weather coming in December and January, as air masses sitting over that snow-covered area will have a better chance of making further penetration south. So we're setting the stage for things later. So this is going to be later in the second half of the weekend and into early the next week. Big snows in the Sierra Nevada right there. By Tuesday, we have the same trough settling into the Rockies, keeping our temperatures cold, keeping mountain snow showers going, maybe a little bit of moisture on the plains because there's going to be a lot of Pacific moisture. Now notice what happens by Tuesday. The pipeline right here gets cut off, so it's done. So that atmospheric river is going to come to an end, but it's going to have a good 3 or 4 days showing. The establishment of this high pressure ridge right here is going to be important because this is going to go into how Thanksgiving week's going to go. See this feature right here? If this pattern comes together, this feature right here by Thursday will want to be in western areas of the U.S. If it does so, we talk about these tails. A little bit of a tail comes back out, and what ends up happening is, if you look at your geography, you've got the north slope of Alaska here, you have the Northwest Territories. These tails, where the jet stream comes out, you get a little bit of a bulge here, and it comes down like this. These bring in big cold air masses. Now, we're not 100% sure this will happen, but the European model is wanting to take this low by the middle of next week, slide it down to the southeast, and that tail drags in much colder air. So this is by noon on Thanksgiving Day. There's the tail right there. So if this tail forms, again, not sure it's going to, but if it does, this is the cold that's behind it. Serious business. We're talking really cold air. These are 30-degree Fahrenheit deviations from average in the purple areas. So we'll keep an eye on it because by late Thanksgiving week and into the Thanksgiving weekend, it could be a lot colder in the west. Have yourself a good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.